Hi, this is Coach Colette, host of the Start Within podcast, and welcome to this week's episode of Financial Fridays. Well, you may know that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and today is actually National Mammography Day. Did you know that breast cancer is the most common cancer among women, with 1 in 8 women getting breast cancer, or that it is the most deadly cancer for women after lung cancer? More than 250,000 women are diagnosed with breast cancer in the United States, and more than 40,000 women die from it. The good news, there are over 3.3 million breast cancer survivors in the United States. And death rates from breast cancer have been going down since 1990. A number of reasons, and yet included in them are better screening, early detection, increased awareness, as well as improved treatment options. So the early detection is where the mammogram comes in. Mammogram is an X-ray that allows a qualified specialist to examine the breast tissue for any suspicious areas. Mammograms can often show a breast lump before you can feel it with your fingers. They can also show tiny clusters of calcium called microcalcifications. Now, lumps or specks on a mammogram can be caused by cancer, fatty cells, or other conditions like cysts. So your doctor, if something appears on the mammogram, will likely suggest additional tests to determine whether or not abnormal cells are present. Even women who have no symptoms and no known risks for breast cancer should have regularly scheduled mammograms to help detect potential breast cancer at the earliest possible time. The National Breast Cancer Foundation suggests that women 40 and older should have mammograms every 1 or 2 years. And women who are younger than 40 and have risk factors for breast cancer should consult with their healthcare professionals to determine when mammograms are most advisable. There are a few factors that can put women at a higher risk for the disease. Having the breast cancer gene BRCA1 or 2, having high levels of estrogen, having had radiation exposure, being a smoker, or being someone who has a first-degree relative, such as your mother, sister, or daughter who has had breast cancer. The likelihood of getting breast cancer can be mitigated with healthy diet, regular exercise, and the avoidance of smoking or excessive drinking. So this is the month to be thinking about your breast health. It's time to consider, is it time to get a mammogram? Are you doing your regular self-breast exams to determine if you're feeling something? Being aware of your body, including your breasts as a woman, is very important. So I hope that you will take these suggestions to heart and continue to maintain good breast health. That's all from me for now. Get ready and listen up to today's tip from Singh.
Hello everyone, this is Singh, aka Investing of the Investing Podcast with your weekly Financial Friday tip. Are you and your family secure in case something happens to you? Do you have a will or an estate plan to make sure that your assets and whatever you have are going to be taken care of in the event that you're injured or that you get COVID or some other type of virus or unexpected death occurs? It's best to plan for these things with an estate planner or other financial planner that should be included in your overall financial plan. With that said, that is your weekly Financial Friday tip, and I'll speak to you soon. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Hey, it's Coach Colette, and this is the Unplugged segment for this week. I wanted to share what I think could be a funny anecdote from earlier this week. So, at one point, the heat came on in my building for the first time. And I live in an old building, so that means steam heat and noise. What's more interesting about this anecdote or this experience is my reaction to it. I just kept being so annoyed, and I was like, ugh, literally just walking around in my apartment going, ugh, why? Why now? It's not even that cold. I've started to unpack that experience later in the week because I started to realize that the heat coming on and my frustration and my disgust almost was not about the heat. It was really more of a reminder of what the heat represents. And the heat represents colder weather, which really signifies the end of summer. And I know I've already talked about the fall equinox, and I've already talked about fourth quarter and planning for the end of the year. But this experience really signified to me what was going on inside of me that I really hadn't processed the grief and the loss of summer. And when I laugh at myself as I'm walking around in my apartment, still wearing flip-flops, but then when it gets cold, I'm trying to stuff socks on, and socks and flip-flops don't work, realizing that I just am refusing to let go of summer. And I know it's because I didn't have the chance to go to the beach this summer, that's part of it. So I didn't really get that release. And I've been secretly hoping for a warmer day where I would feel comfortable hopping on the ferry and going out to the beach. And that's still possible because we're still getting some warm weather in New York City here. And yet I just haven't felt comfortable enough getting on the ferry. I mean, I haven't even been on a subway yet. So every time I think about public transportation, that increases my anxiety. And so that's why I say the heat was not just about the heat. So have you ever had this experience where something that others may seem to think is trivial ends up being something that feels monumental to you? Have you ever been triggered by something small into a very intense emotional reaction? That's what's happened to me, and that's what I've been processing since this experience, is really to think about how is it that I can come to terms and let go of spring, summer, move into fall, and prepare myself for winter. I had a similar experience towards the end of the summer when I decided to cook. And I had had a summer where I was pretty much having salad every night. So I was doing no cooking and I wasn't using the stove. And one night it was a little bit cooler, and so I decided to do a stir fry. And I was literally standing in front of the stove, and it felt like I was having a flashback to March or April of that experience of just cooking every night. And again, I had that feeling of almost like panic and then disgust, like, ugh, this again. And I'm really realizing that this experience of the pandemic this year has impacted me more significantly probably than I thought. And I'm sure you're going, well, duh, of course. But I think it's interesting that we can sometimes distract ourselves from our feelings. We can bury our feelings. We can ignore our feelings. And then it's these little small incidents that happen that remind us that, there's still something there. There's still something that needs to be processed. There's still something there that needs to be healed. I hope that me telling on myself a little bit today gives you some things to ponder or consider. Have you been processing your feelings around whether it's the pandemic or the racial and social unrest or the political landscape? Have you been giving yourself time to process, feel, and heal any trauma or anxiety or stress? It's important to do that because, as you can hear from my story, if we don't do this, it can pop up and show up in other ways that we may not expect. So, I hope that you get some time for self-care this weekend. I hope you get some time for rest this weekend. And if you're feeling up to it, maybe spend some time reflecting, journaling, and allowing yourself to process, to feel, and to heal. That's all for me for now, and we'll be speaking again soon. So what is your takeaway from this week's Financial Fridays segment? What might you do differently around your money and your mindset? For more financial advice, you can check out Sukhi's podcast, Invest Singh, where I also share tips on his Wellness Wednesdays segment. If you enjoyed this episode and haven't already subscribed, you can do so on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Coach_Colette for more inspiration on personal growth and wellness. Tune in next Friday for another episode and get ready to start within to finish strong.